Now, it's not often that I review an audio product here on this channel, but Razer recently released a new gaming soundbar, the Razer Leviathan V2. And as someone who actually bought the original Leviathan as a gift for a friend quite a few years back, it's definitely nice to see that Razer has brought a refresh to a product that's kind of been neglected for quite some time now. So here it is, and we've had it for almost a month now. For those of you who don't want to watch the rest of the review, here's a short, quick summary. It's going to perform and look great, but you're going to lose quite a lot of ports and you're going to be paying more. With that said, let's talk about this. We start off with the design, and simplicity is the name of the game here. The soundbar doesn't look that much different compared to the original. It has simply been refined. Overall, it's still going to be primarily made out of plastic in their signature black color, and it's more boxy all around. In terms of logo placement, if you're concerned about that kind of stuff, all you get is a silver Razer logo right in the middle and a small little THX logo on the far right. Really simplistic, really minimal. It's going to fit right into any kind of setup without much issues per se. Just like before, Razer has also included a pair of additional feet that are interchangeable. This allows you to angle the soundbar to provide a better audio experience from the standard position at your desk. In terms of buttons, you get a total of 5. From the left to the right, you have your source button which toggles between PC or Bluetooth, a Bluetooth pairing button, the power button which also has a small notch below it so you wouldn't mistake it in the dark, and of course, your volume adjustments. To accompany the soundbar, there is a subwoofer included, and this has also received the same simplistic refinement in design just like the soundbar. It's basically and literally a box, though perhaps just slightly not as clean looking as before, since the port has been moved from the bottom to one of the 4 sides. Though that did allow for a slightly larger sub, coming in at 5.5 inches compared to the previous 5.25 inches. It is, however, still a wired subwoofer, so this has to connect to the soundbar in order to receive power and connectivity. No wireless option here, unfortunately. Which brings us to the unfortunate side of things with this soundbar. Razer might have just taken simplicity a little too far. The Leviathan V2 only has 3 ports: the power port, a Type-C port, and a subwoofer port. That's it. You don't get optical, you don't get 3.5mm aux, you don't get HDMI ARC or eARC. It's really perplexing, and it's made even more perplexing by the fact that the original Leviathan had optical, had 3.5mm aux, it even had Apex support and NFC, all of which isn't present here in the Leviathan V2. And if you're talking about HDMI ARC, the ever popular Sound Blaster Katana V2 from Creative has that. With it as it is right now, it just leaves me confused, more so than anything. The inclusion of Type-C is nice, no doubt about that, but to have that as your only source of input means that this is technically an all-digital soundbar, and it's mainly for your PC and PC only. If something were to go awry, you'll be limited in terms of your troubleshooting options, and if there's something wrong with that Type-C port itself, you're dead out of luck. The entire soundbar is just unusable at that point, and you can't do anything about it. And like I just mentioned, the Leviathan V2 is really designed to be used with a PC, but in actual fact, it's actually more restricted to desktops only. Razer includes a Type-C to Type-A cable, which isn't an issue for most desktop users. But if say you are a laptop user, you have to make sure that you have a Type-A port on your laptop, which is actually quite the concern nowadays, considering that more and more laptops just don't have that. Of course, you can go ahead and purchase a Type-C to Type-C cable and use it that way. But on a laptop, you're going to basically waste a Type-C port that's going to give you that bandwidth for high-speed peripherals or accessories, even more so if it's Thunderbolt 3 or 4. A simple 3.5mm would have made it so much more versatile, and adding on an optical port would have made it usable with a TV as well, especially if HDMI eARC is out of the budget. But I think we all knew where that budget went, so honestly, the I/O is definitely a disappointment. But let's put that aside for now. Let's talk about what's new, some of the nifty features, and ultimately, what's so good about it. To complement the new and refined look, Razer has of course added a splash of Chroma RGB in the form of a thin strip below the length of the soundbar itself. If you like your RGB, this looks pretty stunning because it's indirect, it's out of the way, and it's nice and diffuse, and does get plenty bright. This will definitely match any of your other Razer peripherals, and you can sync them all up using Razer Synapse, especially with Chroma Studio. Synapse is also where you can toggle between standard stereo and THX spatial audio, and a bunch of EQ presets and access to custom settings. You can also adjust the volume here, but I find it kind of meaningless considering the fact that it's a digital connection. Any adjustments here will reflect in Windows itself, and vice versa. It's not like you can have a separate volume for the soundbar as opposed to Windows itself, like you would with an analog input like a 3.5mm aux, but it is what it is. One nifty function that the Leviathan V2 does have, however, is a quick toggle feature between two PC audio devices. So if you have a headset attached, you can simply hold on to the source button on the soundbar itself and it will switch. Definitely a nice workaround since there isn't a headphone jack on the soundbar. Now if you aren't at your PC, or perhaps your PC isn't on, you can also access the Chroma RGB using your phone via the Chroma RGB app. But to access all the other basic functions, you would then have to use the audio app. Definitely not ideal for now, but Razer is supposedly working on a unified app, so you'll just have to wait and see. But at the moment, you'll kind of have to juggle between using those two apps. But we now come to the good stuff, the sound quality. The Leviathan V2 is honestly just a really good sounding soundbar. The soundbar itself comes equipped with two full range drivers and two tweeters in the front and two passive radiator drivers in the back. This is of course paired with that 5.5-inch downfiring ported subwoofer. Razer does state 65 watts of power, but is this just the soundbar alone or the whole setup? And is it RMS or peak? We have no idea. But in any case, it does sound good and pretty well balanced. The highs are really clean and crisp, with strong mids, and does have quite a thump in the low end thanks to that subwoofer. I enjoyed it for pretty much anything, from watching videos on YouTube or binging on Netflix, and of course, gaming. Games like Genshin were just downright enjoyable, especially when listening to fantastic soundtracks in the overworld, while games like Valorant were equally addictive as well, and even competitive to a certain sense. I could definitely hear the sound of footsteps and the gun mechanics of my enemy. It also does get quite loud despite the compact nature of it, and can definitely feel a decently sized room. Honestly, in terms of just pure audio quality and experience alone, it's been fantastic. It delivers great sound in a really compact package. This is the best part about this soundbar, and it's really great. But that's kind of all that it has going for it, because if we talk about price, it's not that great as well. Compared to the original Leviathan, this is now $50 more expensive, surprisingly in both USD and SGD, coming in about 380 Singapore dollars or about 250 US dollars. Now, it is still more affordable compared to the Sound Blaster Katana V2 from Creative, but that does offer much more versatility and can also reach a higher volume output. But even if we don't take that for comparison, the Leviathan V2 shouldn't really cost more than the original. The addition of THX and Chroma RGB shouldn't justify the uplift in price, especially when they are in-house features, not to mention the reduction in ports and other features. So like we said at the start, it's going to look and perform great, but you're going to lose quite a bit of ports and you're going to be paying more. That's essentially it. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section down below. If you'd like to, do check out the affiliate links in the description as well. If you do, thanks for the support. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Till the next one. See ya!